What is going on to you, crew? Welcome back to another episode of the Totally Unqualified podcast. This is episode 21, and we've got some great topics for you guys today. We're going to talk about a little bit of NBA because we've got some vaccination stuff going on that could get interesting. We're going to get into some random rankings. I won't tell you what it is just yet. We'll get to that point. And then, of course, we have to talk about all the games from last week prior to giving our Thursday night prediction. So let's get right into it. How are we doing today, boys?
Doing great. Guys, what's 9 plus 10? 21. Episode 21. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Come on.
I didn't get that reference at first. All right. I'm doing good. Ready for this. I'm prepared for this guest that player. I got all my eyes on that right now. I'm full steam ahead. I got to tie Luke in this one.
Oh, it's 9-8-1.
9-8-1 to 1.
To 1.
We don't always have to bring up the other one, right?
I think we do, though. I think we do.
He's on the official scoreboard.
Until you break it. Until you break the tie.
Right. All right. Fine. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Of course.
Yes, sir.
NFL player, of course.
Yep.
He was drafted in the first round of 2016.
Okay.
He played for Oregon.
Marcus Mariota. No, that's 15.
It is not a skill position.
All right.
He has played for 2 teams in his NFL career.
So he must have been a free agent 2020. Signed with the new team last year.
He has played for 1 NFC team and 1 AFC team.
I'm blanking. Oregon's not my team.
I'm trying to think of the other Oregon player. I didn't even know there were other Oregon players in that round.
He went from an NFC team to an AFC team.
Is he an offensive or defensive player?
He plays D tackle.
Oh, okay.
That was
yeah. No.
Leonard Williams. No, Leonard Williams was 6'15". He was at USC.
I figured you showed the O-line some love, so I showed the D-line some love.
Wait, he's on the AFC team now, right? You said
yes,
NFC to AFC? Okay.
Yep.
Wow. I am blanking right now.
He is regarded as one of the better D tackles in the league.
DeForest Buckner?
It is DeForest Buckner.
Oh man.
DeForest. I honestly, real talk, I had no clue he went to Oregon.
Yeah.
Shit. Takes the 2-point lead again.
I remember that DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead went back-to-back Oregon defensive linemen. Oh, now I remember.
Yeah, and he went from the 49ers to the Colts, obviously.
Yeah.
Beast. He's such an underrated player.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, he's great. All right, boys. From that, we're going to hop right into some NBA talk. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on right now that could have a lot of implications for the season. Both Kyrie Irving and Andrew Wiggins are kind of at the forefront of this with the whole vaccination situation because they are both unvaccinated players. And in both of their states that they play in, you have to be vaccinated to be in a game type setting. And in enclosed building with a lot of people, you have to be vaccinated. They're requiring it. So they might not play this season. Could get interesting. I'm interested to hear you guys' thoughts. Jake, you want to start it?
Yeah. I feel like they're in 2 different situations because obviously Andrew Wiggins is a good player, but he's very expendable. Like you could trade him away. The Golden State Warriors don't need Andrew Wiggins. There have been questions even before this came out whether he was going to be on the team or not to start the season, whether they were going to trade him away for a Ben Simmons type player. Kyrie Irving though is the one that interests me because I think Andrew Wiggins gets traded for sure because of this. Kyrie Irving, just because of his antics, I could see him missing a few games throughout the season, playing a few games. I feel like it's going to be a really weird season for Kyrie Irving, which is nothing that we're not used to when it comes to him. I mean, he took a couple weeks off to attend his sister's birthday party a couple years ago, like just some shit like that. I could definitely see Kyrie Irving just playing away games, just not even caring enough like to even consider anything else. That's kind of where my head is at. I think Andrew Wiggins gets traded for sure, and I think we're going to see some really weird decisions out of Kyrie Irving this year. I feel like he's going to be on and off with those away games too. It's going to be a situation to monitor, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, what's even more interesting is that he's not going to be able to play 42 home games. He's also not going to be able to play some away games at, different stadiums or different arenas. Golden State, possibly Toronto, he's not going to be able to play in. So I don't really know what they're going to do there. It's out of the NBA's hands. I mean, it's up to the state. It's the state mandates. What I don't like how Kyrie handled that at media day, where everybody's asking him, hey, not if he got vaccinated, but do you have any answers for us? Everybody's skeptical that you're even going to be able to play this season. We need answers here. And instead of trying to please the fans per se, trying to raise down their skeptics or lower down their skeptics, he said, please respect my privacy. I don't want to get into this. This is literally your job. This is your job. We need to be able to know if you're going to be able to play. I know Andrew Wiggins, he tried to get a religious exemption and it was denied by the NBA. So I don't know if Kyrie's going to go down that route. Maybe he gets accepted and Andrew Wiggins doesn't. Maybe it's just a weird situation. It's very unprecedented for the NBA. They're in uncharted territory. Obviously, nothing like this. We haven't seen anything like this ever. And we might see a bunch of NBA players just not play this season because they don't want to get vaccinated. It's unfortunate that it has to come down to that. But it's, like I said, it's out of the NBA's hands. But with such a star or such a big superstar like Kyrie Irving, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Will he play? I hope he does. I hope he ends up playing. Even if he doesn't get vaccinated, I hope they could work a way around that because Kyrie brings in so much revenue. He is a star. He's a superstar. And the Nets have championship aspirations right now. They definitely need him. So it's going to be unfortunate if he doesn't play.
Yeah, for sure. And it's such a tough situation. And what's crazy to me is that we played through COVID. While the pandemic was actually going on, while we didn't have an answer, while we didn't have the vaccines and stuff like that, they played. They had the bubbles and whatnot. And they were able to get through that. But now that we're past that point and we have the vaccine and stuff like that, it seems like it's more of a hassle now than it was then. But it's going to be just crazy to see how this season plays out, because right now, even though these two guys are at the forefront of it, there's going to be plenty of other players that are going to have to deal with the same things. I mean, and it sucks because I get what they're saying as far as respecting their privacy, because anything medical, you should be able to keep private. But at the same time, when you have such a public job and there are certain requirements and stuff around this stuff, there starts to be this blurred line between what you can keep private and what you can't, just because of the situation that you're putting everybody else in. So it's really unfortunate. Hopefully they can figure something out that will work out best for everybody. But I don't know. NBA season is going to be crazy.
Yeah, it goes way beyond the players too. A lot of people don't notice, but coaches, training staff, referees, a lot of these people are going to end up losing their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated. And it's just the unfortunate reality that we're living in.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I feel like when we start getting to the playoffs, because say the Nets are in the finals, right? And Kyrie Irving's played a decent amount of games, if not more than, if not half of the games he was able to play. And they just got to say they're playing the Lakers in the playoffs. He's just not going to be able to play. He's just not going to be able to play if they get to the finals against the Lakers. So that's going to suck. And I feel like it's going to be an interesting season for sure. There's going to be some weird things that happen this season.
For sure. It's definitely something to keep an eye out. So I don't even know. I don't know where we go from here, but hopefully they figure something out, like I said. Yeah. And from that, we're going to switch back over to NFL. That's our bread and butter. That's what we love here. That's what we're going to get back into. And we've got some random rankings this week, guys. We've got some random rankings this Tuesday when we're recording. We're going to do our top 5 wide receivers based solely on their hand skills. So, Jake, if you want to start it off, give us your top 5.
Sure. Starting out at so this is just purely catching the ball, right? Just their ability.
Just catching the ball.
All right, sweet. So at number 5, I'm going to put Cooper Kupp. I can't remember. I don't think Cooper Kupp gets enough respect for the amount, like how good his hands are. Can any of you remember the last time Cooper Kupp dropped a pass? Because I can't. I can't remember the last time. The man is, if you have him in fantasy football, you know how well he's doing this year. He was a steal in like the 7th round for me. I have him in like most of my leagues, I love Cooper Kupp. But anyway, yeah, I think Cooper Kupp is a phenomenal receiver, and he rarely ever has dropped the ball, at least in my recent memory. At number 4, I'm going to put Stefan Diggs. Stefan Diggs is another one who I don't really think, as in my recent memory, has ever had drop issues, because he's just so reliable. Him and Josh Allen are one of the best combos in football. And I think, he, especially last year, was a top 5 wide receiver. At number 3, I'm going to put Allen Robinson, who's another guy. A lot of these guys don't get enough respect, in my opinion. Allen Robinson, I know he's not having a good year this year. I know he's not having a great year this year. It is purely because that offense is terrible. I think Matt Nagy just proved that he's done in Chicago, but we'll get to that later. I have him in fantasy, so I know people that he's struggling, but it's just because he does not have a good quarterback throwing the ball at the moment.
Reach.
Yeah. And number 2, I'm going to put Odell. Odell, I mean, we all know the catch. His hands are like glue. They are. He can catch it with one hand. He can catch it with 3 fingers. Okay. He looked really good in his return to play. This weekend, it looked like the Browns were giving him the ball. It didn't look like there were any issues on the field. Maybe that's because Jarvis wasn't playing, and there wasn't really an issue over who was the number 1 receiver. But Odell looked good nonetheless. He probably looked as good as he has in a Browns uniform. And at number 1, I mean, we all know who number 1 is. Like, you can't not put DeAndre Hopkins at number 1. You can't. Like, he's so good. He's so good. He has the best and strongest hands I can remember in my lifetime. Like, the only person I think that would rival him is Calvin Johnson. The catches DeAndre Hopkins makes were ridiculous. I do want to give a shout out to Julio Jones. I know I'm going to get some shit for not having him on this list. Just because he didn't have the best week 1 and he had some issues in week 1. So I don't want to, that's the only reason he didn't make this top 5. That's the only reason. So shout out to Julio Jones though. Obviously, we all know what he could do.
Yeah. Julio's definitely up there. AJ Brown's up there too. I think he's up in the top 10 as well. Didn't have a great game though last week. Did get injured. All right. Top 5 receivers. I'm not gonna lie, I have a tight end on this list because I thought you just said receivers and not wide receivers in the thing. But either way, I think he would be in this list. You have one tight end on this list, not 2? I may have 2 on this list.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
All right. At 5, got Allen Robinson. You said it all, Jake. He might be the most underrated receiver in football simply because he's on such a terrible team with a head coach that sabotages that offense. It's bad in Chicago, but you know what? He did that to himself. He could have left last year, and he chose to stay. So you know what, Allen Robinson, you could stay in Chicago. You have great hands though. Great receiver. At 4, I got Stefan Diggs. Last year led the league in pretty much everything, receiving yards, catches, not touchdowns though. We'll get to that guy in a second. Stefan Diggs is great route runner, maybe even a better catcher of the football. He really found his own in Buffalo since moving on from Minnesota. I would like to see him catch some more balls in the end zone though. I drafted this guy in fantasy for a reason. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know why we're looking at what's his name? Knox.
Sanders.
Emmanuel Sanders too, and Dawson Knox. Yeah. I don't know why we're looking at them in the end zone and not Stefan Diggs. At number 3, I have Devonta Adams. I think he's the best receiver in football. Don't get me wrong. He had really bad drop issues early in his career. I remember as a young Packers fan, I wanted him cut because he would drop so many balls, so many touchdowns. He completely 180'd and turned himself into a potential Hall of Famer. He's outstanding at everything. And like his ability to go up and catch the ball, like jump 4 feet in the air, pretty much rebounding it. He's outstanding. At number 2, I have Travis Kelsey. Was it him that dropped the pass that led to the Mahomes interception last week? I can't remember. It was definitely a tight end. I can't remember if it was him though. Yeah, Travis Kelsey's outstanding. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just looking for him every single time, every single play, just throw it up on Travis will catch it because he is that guy. He is a receiver pretty much. And I said I might have 2 tight ends on this list. At number 1, I have Pro Bowler Evan Ingram, boys. Pro Bowler Evan fucking Ingram. Absolutely not. Number 1, I have DeAndre Hopkins. Enough said. I mean, come on. He caught the Hail Mary last year in a sea of Bills. It was pretty much like 6 people covering him, and he was the one to come down with that ball. He has the strongest hands in the league, like you said, and he has the best hands in the league, in my opinion.
So my list, I'm going to go ahead and just preface it with this. Jake, I only share 1 person on my list with you. And Luke, I only share 2 players on my list with you.
Wow.
So for me, as far as guys in the league right now that I think have the best hands, at number 5, I am going to put Julio Jones because it's easy to forget because of the past couple seasons have been a little bit rough. He's dealt with some injuries and stuff like that. But it's if you think back just to that 28-3, that Falcons Super Bowl, where he had those catches, those amazing catches, and he does stuff like that consistently when he's able to be on the field. So I have to have him up there.
Remember that toe tap? That toe tap on the sideline?
That was crazy.
That Michael
Jackson
best
catches I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Especially in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
At number 4, I have Devonta Adams. And he is a little bit low to some people, I would imagine. But I feel like he has very good hands, obviously, but I feel like a lot of his receptions have more to do with his separation and his route running than his hands themselves, which is why he's as low on this list as he is. At number 3, and this might be me being a homer, is Michael Thomas. You don't have multiple seasons over 70% and over up at 85% in his offensive player of the year in 2019. He's got to be on there.
Yep.
At number 2, this one might be a little bit of a surprise, but I'm sure Jake will like it. Tyler Lockett's hands are very underrated. Tyler Lockett is one of the best receivers of the ball, just as far as being able to go up and get it, high point it, whatever you need him to do, he can put his hands where they need to be and catch the ball. So I have him that high for that reason. And then we all share the same number 1 spot. DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver as far as hands go in the entire league. That Hail Mary against the Bills last year was just absolutely insane. And even when I went to the Titans-Cardinals game week 1, he didn't catch the ball, but he was calling for the ball from Kyler Murray because Kyler Murray pretty much didn't have anywhere to go with it. He put his tiptoes right on the edge of the sideline and reached out off the edge of the field. And Kyler Murray hit him damn near in the hands. It just bounced off his fingertips. But just the fact that he knows he can grab it there, insane.
Yeah, I love the Tyler Lockett. I was struggling with Tyler Lockett because, he doesn't drop anything, but Russ sometimes just puts it in a spot where you can't help but catch it. And that's most of Tyler Lockett's receptions. The one against the Rams a couple years ago where next gen stats was all over that shit, where it was in the corner of the end zone. He had a 6% chance to catch it. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. But some of these throws that Russ makes, it literally just lands in his hand. Tyler Lockett and Russ don't get talked about enough for that kind of the special connection they have, because it is
absolutely
it is godly, the connection they have. Russ had a perfect passer rating a couple of years ago when throwing to Tyler Lockett, and Tyler Lockett had over 100 targets that year. It wasn't like he wasn't targeted a lot. He was targeted a whole bunch. So that's just crazy. But I love me some Tyler Lockett.
They're up there for sure. So Devonta Adams and Cooper Kupp both lead the league in receptions right now with 25 apiece. Devonta has 1 more target than him. Cole Beasley comes in 3rd. Brandon Cooks is up there. Mike Williams. Someone who I'm not seeing up there is Michael Thomas, but that's for another day. No, he definitely deserved to be on that list. Honestly, I kind of forgot about him because I haven't seen him play in so long, but he'll definitely be up there once he comes back around midseason still. Is that still projected?
They're hoping that he can come back after week 6, which is our bye week, because he was put on, I believe the PUP list. So hopefully he can come back after that. Obviously, I don't want to rush him back, though. I think that we're managing without him for now.
Is he running routes, or is he in practice at all? Or
I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard that he's running or anything like that. I mean, it's still it's pretty early, and it's an ankle injury, so you don't want to get him out there doing too much.
Yeah, we're about to be a quarter through the season. That's disgusting.
Yeah. You mean is he running route, Luke? Is he running route? Single route, single slant route.
If that's all he does, then cover.
Listen,
that's all he does.
I'm with you.
I want to see what he does with Jameis, because he's definitely going to be running some cool stuff now that he has a quarterback with an arm.
Sure. All right, boys. Me and Luke both had Devonta Adams on our list, so we're going to jump right into the week in review and his game against the 49ers this past week. Talking a little Packers 49ers. And before we get into the game itself, I want to talk about this. I feel like it's a fairly hot topic. We need to talk about it. Devonta Adams was knocked the fuck out on the field. He was. I'm sorry. It was head to head. He was knocked out. It wasn't a chest injury. And I feel like they rushed him back onto the field pretty quickly. Luke, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Do you think that the Packers handled it properly? Do you think they went through concussion protocol? What you got?
Well, I don't think they would allow him to go back on the field if he wasn't ready. Like genuinely, I know that they're the team doctors or anything, but they have like people from the NFL, like the concussion doctors they have to go through the whole protocol. You know, who's the president, what's your name, stuff like that. Like, I think he got that down. I'm going to trust him. I'm going to trust him at his word that it was just his chest. Thank God it just was. And it wasn't anything crazy, because that legitimately was a career like ending type play. That was a career-ending type play. I mean, you remember too, Jake, Ricardo Lockett just a few seasons ago on a play like that, very similar, where he's blindsided and just gets knocked out. And unfortunately, we know the rest of that story. But thank God he was okay. I don't think they would have let him back on the field if he wasn't ready. He said it was his chest. He said that they checked him out and he was good and everything. In terms of this Packers 49ers game, I'm upset that I picked against the Packers. I'll be honest. I'm not a real Packers fan, clearly. I just didn't expect that sort of game. They went into San Francisco, a place where they haven't been able to play well and since I could remember. I mean, last year with the exception because they had everybody injured, but like they haven't been able to do anything there. And they get that monkey off their back. I mean, Aaron Rodgers played well. Shout out their offensive line. They had 4 rookies in there and only allowed 1 sack. Josh Neiman filled in at left tackle, completely blanketed Nick Bosa, which I wasn't expecting at all. And then Devonta Adams, he's that guy. Everything, I know I say everything runs through Aaron Jones, which it primarily does, all the play action stuff. But against the 49ers in that game, everything ran through Devonta Adams. He basically is pretty much half their run game with all the short little flat routes that they throw at him with the wide receivers blocking. By the way, I think the Packers have the best blocking wide receiving unit in the whole league. And it was just a great game. Defensively, I thought they played outstanding. And they just out-physicaled a really physical team in San Francisco. I haven't been this happy about a Packers win since they beat Seattle in the playoffs in 2019, because I haven't felt like they had that real quality win since then. Even against the Rams last year, who were starting John Wolford, like that's not really a quality win in my opinion, no matter how good their defense is. Like this, I haven't felt this way as a Packers fan in a while. I was not confident going in, but I am confident as ever coming out. It was crazy. Great game. And Money Mason Crosby, shout out you. Was there ever a doubt?
Yeah, I want to address the Devonta Adams concussion thing. You can easily avoid the team doctors. A couple of years ago, Russell Wilson literally just pulled up the medical tent for a couple seconds and then just put it back down and went back in the game. So like, if a player really wants to get back on the field, there's little trainers can do to stop them. That's what I've learned in my experience with that. But yeah, it was a great game. It was a great Sunday Night Football game. Luke, you got to have more faith in your Packers, my guy.
I guess I do.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers played great when they left. What was it? 30 something seconds left on the clock.
37.
Yeah. I was like, that's too much time. That was way too much time for Aaron Rodgers to get a field goal. It's the same thing when they left Tom Brady in week 1, that much time to go get a field goal. Yeah. It's like, these are the 2 best quarterbacks of this generation. Like seriously, like that's too much time, especially with the game Devonta Adams was having. So, yeah, it was a great game. Luke kind of touched upon everything that, was mentionable, but the Packers look good. They've definitely recovered from that week 1 stinker with New Orleans, I would say.
Yeah, they definitely looked very good, but I want to go back to the Devonta Adams thing as well, because I have a lot more to touch on here. Because I feel that this is an issue and it probably won't get addressed because I don't even see as many people talking about it now. Devonta Adams came off the field and went into the tent. Concussion protocol is supposed to last a minimum of 7 minutes when they're checking you. He was back on the field within 4 minutes. It was a couple plays later. I was watching the game with my stepdad, and I was like, he's back in the game? Like, are you kidding me? Because it just, I don't know. And with a guy especially that has a history of, concussions and head injuries and stuff like that, you would think that they would take more precautions in protecting him. I would have kept him out at least the rest of the game. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but the fantasy doctors on TikTok, shout out to them. They make some great content, as you guys know. They put out a video and they were talking about, I forget exactly what it's called. I think it's secondary hit trauma or something like that, where once you have a concussion, if like the brainstem and stuff can swell, if he would have taken another big hit to the head or something like that, if that had happened, he could literally die. So it might not be a big deal. He might not have a concussion. They might have handled it properly, but I just feel like he shouldn't have gone back into the game at all, especially when it could be something that's potentially life-threatening. I just think player safety is important, and we need to pay attention to those kinds of things. As far as the game goes, I think that it was a great game, obviously down to the wire. A lot of the primetime games this year have been fantastic so far, and I've been loving every second of it.
Except for last night. Last night was rough.
That was rough. That was bad.
That was brutal. That was brutal.
But we had the Packers 49ers, and as soon as they left 37 seconds on the clock, as soon as Kyle Juszczyk punched it in, which was a great play by him, I was like, no, that's too much time. You can't let the host of Jeopardy have that much time left on the clock. I mean, he's going to go down and score. And Devonta Adams was a big part of that. So him coming back in the game obviously helped them out a lot. But they get it done. They look very good. And like Jake said, I think that they're over their week one stinker against us, of course.
The moment I knew they were going to win that game, and I'm not even kidding you, I did the math in my head. I used to be really good at math in elementary school. We used to play this game called 24, where we would just like add random ass numbers and try to get it to 24. So I'll look at numbers and I'll be having like equations run through my head for no reason. And I was like, wait a sec, 49ers, 37 seconds. 49 minus 37 is 12. Aaron Rodgers is about to go and get this game-winning field goal. I'm not even kidding. That's what was running through my mind. I know it's so random, but like, how much time is too much time? Like, I guess it depends on who you're going up against, because I don't think, I don't think Daniel Jones is gonna go get the game-winning field goal with 37 seconds left.
Hey,
come on,
listen,
come on. But how much time is too much time in that scenario? Honestly, real talk, it's probably 0 seconds. Like, you probably take a knee at the 1 yard line there. I know they're saying that you're not guaranteed to score, guys. They're gonna fucking score. Come on, come on, and not against that Swiss cheese ass defense. Come on, they were reeling the entire drive. I mean, they were just bound to run it in from the one. They did struggle earlier in the game from the 1 yard line, but come on, they were scoring there regardless. Doesn't matter how much time is on the clock.
Yeah, I definitely think you got to run down the time there, especially against Aaron Rodgers. I think that's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to get into our next game. It was another two just high-powered teams that we see as contenders in the league. We had the Bucs versus the Rams, and I think we all thought it was going to be, well, Luke, you did say that the Rams you had by a couple scores, and they did end up winning by a pretty good amount. But as far as me and Jake go, we both had it pretty close. And you picked the Bucs, I picked the Rams, of course. Jake, do you want to give your input here?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to read too much into this game, because I feel like throughout the first 4 games of every single year that Tom Brady has ever played, we have overreacted and said, this is not, oh my God, this might not be a Super Bowl team. This team, might be beatable, which of course the Bucs are beatable, but it's insane to think that Tom Brady won't have this team ready to compete with anybody when it comes to the playoffs. I guarantee you this team will not be being blown out come January. I promise you that. This will not happen again. But I do want to give credit to the Rams. The Rams really put the NFL on notice. This wasn't just them showing the Bucs, the former Super Bowl champions, what they could do. This was them showing the entire NFL, like, no, we're a top 3 team in this league, if not the best team in this league right now, which I think they might be at this point. Matt Stafford played great. Sean McVay is really putting on a clinic with this team right now. It does seem as though, his entire playbook is finally open for the first time since he's been head coach with Matt Stafford there. And it's so great to see Matt Stafford revitalizing his career. Not that he was ever bad, but it's just that we all saw this potential in him, and it just never came to fruition in Detroit with those terrible teams that he had to play on. But yeah, as a Seahawks fan, I'll just say it. That game scared the shit out of me. And that's all I have to say.
Jake, you said that you think that the Rams might be the best team in the league. I think they are the best team in the league, and I think they showed it on Sunday. Offensively, defensively, I mean, what weakness do they have? I mean, they are so great in all levels, all phases of the game. They have superstars pretty much everywhere. And it's all highlighted by their star quarterback, Matt Stafford. I mean, he's just played outstanding. He's everything that you wanted, everything that Sean McVay wanted Jared Goff to be. That's what Matthew Stafford is. And it's just showing how great that team is right now, how great that trade was, even though that they sacrificed some of their future. It's not like it matters because the future is now, and they're absolutely Super Bowl contenders. I think this game was a case of just a good team beating a good team. I think I will say for the Bucs, their defense is definitely questionable right now. I believe. I mean, giving up all of those points, all those yards to the Cowboys at home, and then in this game as well. And even the Falcons for a little bit there, they were scaring them until Matt Ryan threw back-to-back pick sixes, which Matty Ice, it's time to hang him up. But yeah, I'm looking at the stats here. I mean, Matt Stafford put 343 and 4 touchdowns on them. The Bucs defense, like their secondary is just weak right now. And it doesn't help that Jamel Dean is hurt. Sean Murphy-Bunting is hurt. Everybody just keeps getting injured. And now they're about to sign like Richard Sherman, who, may or may not be dealing with legal battles right now. I haven't heard the fallout of that situation, by the way. I don't know what happened. Yeah. That just kind of got brushed under the rug. But I think the Rams are the best team in football, and I think they showed it on Sunday, beating who many people think is the best team in football, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I hope this isn't the last time we see these guys play the season, because that playoff game, oh my gosh, it would be everything.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what both of you guys are saying. I think that the Rams are the best team in football as well. I mean, how could you not be when you're led by the MVP, of course, in Matt Stafford? But they look very good. I mean, it was close starting out, but I think a lot of what you're saying is true as well, Luke, with that secondary already being weak for the Bucs and then them dealing with injuries on top of that, to go out and have to get a guy like Richard Sherman, which I don't want to talk shit about Richard Sherman. Of course, he has been a great player throughout his career. He's just starting to get up there in age. He hasn't played in a little while now. So to have to go out and get a guy like that because of your injuries definitely doesn't bode well for them. That front seven, of course, looks very good, but I still don't think it looks quite as good as we would expect this early in the season. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, I feel like they're not quite up to full speed just yet, and I don't know if they're getting over some things on the front seven as well. But the Bucs definitely have some work to do right now, as far as I'm concerned. That offense looks very good, obviously, but as far as the defensive side of the ball, they're just not going to be able to stick in with teams like the Rams currently. And then the Rams, I mean, that defense looks really, really good. I know a lot of people had questions about it as well, with losing guys like John Johnson, losing their defensive coordinator. But really, it doesn't even look like they've lost a step. They're still playing extremely well. Aaron Donald is obviously a problem. Jalen Ramsey, I feel like they're giving him more power to do the things that he feels like he's good at, especially flying in there and making tackles and stuff like that. Jalen Ramsey's already a great tackling corner. When you give him the power to fly around the edge and do stuff like that too, it's just going to be even more of a problem for you, especially for a guy like Tom Brady, who doesn't do very well under pressure anyway. So 2 great teams. The Bucs are dealing with a lot of stuff on the defensive side of the ball. The Rams look great. I think that, like Luke said, this could be a future matchup that we could see that would be amazing.
Absolutely. I want to see more out of their front seven, because you can't be better last year without Vita Vea. Like that's a problem. You have Vita Vea healthy now. I need to see more production out of that front seven. I need to see more sacks. I mean, William Golston cannot be your sack leader with 1 sack. It can't happen with all the players. I know they were missing JPP, but like they have so much talent.
Even last season, they didn't really pick it up until like the second half, though. Yeah. Until they started to get near the playoffs, that's when they really looked like the best defense in the league. So I don't know if it's another case of that or what they got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to mention, fun fact about this game, Tom Brady led the Buccaneers in rushing in this game.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a problem.
That tells you all you need to know. That's
Adam Rank was right about Gio Bernard, though. He was absolutely right about his fantasy value. Spot on.
Yeah, I'm so glad I dropped him after he put up 2 like completely irrelevant stat lines in fantasy the first 2 weeks, and then just decided to go off in this game. Thank you so much, Tom Brady. Yet another case of you annoying the hell out of me.
What do you have? You have a 20-point bomb? 20 points?
Yeah. Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
I feel like it's one of those situations that Adam was talking about, though, where you have to know when to start them, And I feel like in a situation where, I feel like Gio Bernard's situation is the situation where the Bucs are down by quite a bit, and they're trying to play catch up, which is hard to predict to begin with.
Exactly.
But I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, for him to lead the team in rushing is bad. All right, guys. And now we are going to get into our third and final game that we're highlighting for this week. The Bears versus the Browns. Justin Fields' first career start was not a very good one. Luke, how are you feeling about this in-division rival?
First of all, Justin Fields, that was unfair. Justin Fields, as a Packers fan, I'd personally like to say I'm sorry for not only the team that you got drafted to, but also for the coach to play for and the organization you have to play for the team, everything. I'm sorry. You should be in a better situation. I just can't. I can't look at anything else about this game other than why is Matt Nagy still the head coach of this football team? Why is Matt Nagy still there? He should have been fired 2 seasons ago. 2 seasons ago, they gave the keys to this guy. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Dan Orlovsky. I don't know if you guys saw the clip of him, saying every which thing about Matt Nagy, but like he just did not prepare Justin Fields. He was saying as soon as you drafted him, you should have been coming up with game plans for Justin Fields. Like immediately after drafting him, his skill set, how well he could perform. You saw him do it at Ohio State up against great competition too. It's not like he was playing up against scrubs. He was playing great competition. He is that guy. Matt Nagy is not. He's putting him in terrible situations. 9 sacks. They only blocked 5 people on 26 of his dropbacks or something, 30 or 26 out of his 30 dropbacks, something like that. It was crazy. Up against Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. Are you trying to get Justin Fields killed? Like, really? There's a conspiracy going around legitimately, which I don't tend to believe in, but it could be very possible that it's true, that Matt Nagy legit did this on purpose to prove that Andy Dalton was a better capable starter than Justin Fields right now. And I would not put that past Matt Nagy to do something like that. I think he is that arrogant. I think he is that full of himself. I think he is that aloof, and he is just not the guy to be in that position to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. They deserve better. I know as a Packers fan, they absolutely deserve better. 20 years of just mediocrity pretty much. But yeah, Matt Nagy has to go. He should have been fired yesterday.
Wait, props on the use of the word aloof. That's an impressive word right there. You drop that in the conversation, people turn their heads. They're like, oh shit, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yes, sir.
This was embarrassing for Matt Nagy. I don't know what else to say. Everybody knows. I know, fans know that when you have a rookie quarterback that in preseason, we clearly saw that Justin Fields wasn't this polished product. We all knew this. If he was going into a situation where you felt he wasn't really ready to play, scheme it up so he can play well. Don't have him making 5 reads before you before he snaps the ball. It's not what he's good at. When Cam Newton was a rookie, they took half of the field away from him. In the beginning of his career, they took half of the field away. They would run him on bootlegs, so he only had to read half of the field. They made it easy on him. That's what you have to do with Justin Fields. You need to make these reads easy on them so you can actually get some success, so you can instill some confidence. This was the exact opposite of that. I don't want to say that he plotted to make Andy Dalton look better, but he definitely just threw Justin Fields to the wolves. There was no easy completions, get his confidence up. No, it was just barely any screens to take some pressure off. Nope. Just, hey, go out there and do exactly what Andy Dalton was doing. Do what this 12-year NFL veteran was doing and do it exactly as he was doing. No, you can't do that. this is the game that got Matt Nagy fired. I really can't see, unless he comes back next week with an amazing game plan. Justin Fields throws 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and just looks amazing. And Matt Nagy learned the lesson. This is the game that got Matt Nagy fired. So when we're at the end of the season and the Bears are looking for a new head coach, we're all going to look back at this game and be like, well, this game told us all you need to know. And I feel bad for Justin Fields. He didn't, just talking about his performance, though, he didn't look great. Obviously, as I just mentioned, that is not entirely on him. I don't think he was ready. I don't think he was ready yet. The offensive line played terrible. But Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, and when you're going against that Browns defense, it's going to be a long day for everybody. I just didn't know it was going to be that long of a day.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, 9 sacks is just insane to begin with. That O-line played absolutely horrible. And I've heard the thing about Matt Nagy trying to make Andy Dalton look like he's the more capable starter, which honestly, I think that he is. Like, Justin Fields hasn't looked great, but I think that Andy Dalton obviously knows his way around the NFL at this point, and he's going to be better in those situations, but he wouldn't have played well in this game either. But I don't think it's so much that Matt Nagy was trying to make Andy Dalton look better as much as that he's just a fucking idiot. He's just a bad head coach. Like he didn't know what to do with Justin Fields. He went out there and schemed what he thought was going to be great, and it didn't turn out whatsoever. What did they have? 68 yards of offense or something like that?
They had 1 net passing yard. Net passing yard.
Which, by the way, is only 2 more yards than Justin Tucker's kick this weekend. So Justin Tucker can kick it as far as the Bears got downfield against the Browns this week, which is absolutely insane. Also, shout out Justin Tucker. That's amazing. 66 yards, an absolute bomb. Insane. That dude's got a leg like I've never seen.
Yeah.
But to talk less about the Bears, because I feel like you guys touched on all of it. Matt Nagy's an idiot. Justin Fields was in a bad situation, so on and so forth. I'm going to talk about the Browns. The Browns, I feel like, haven't impressed me that much offensively. And they have the weapons to do it. Obviously, they're missing Jarvis Landry right now. They get Odell back and they get him some balls. But especially like Nick Chubb, I really need Nick Chubb to get going. Because one, I have him on my fantasy teams and it's just not working out. What is going on?
That's
here?
That's why it's being brought up.
Yeah. Like I love Kareem Hunt too. Why is he getting 20-some points and Nick Chubb got like 5? Are you kidding me? But beyond that, the Browns offense as a whole, I just feel like hasn't done anything to make me feel like they can go out and beat these really good teams. You know what I mean? Especially after the way we've seen the Chiefs play thus far. And like the Browns played really well against the Chiefs, but they've also shown that the Chiefs are one of the worst run defenses in the league right now. And the Browns are really good at running. So it kind of makes sense. So I'm worried that they're going to go up against one of these really good defenses, against one of these really good teams, and that offense is going to stagnate. And that, like, I think the defense will be fine because they seem like they're starting to pick it up and they're starting to get in the groove. But they give me, like, Steelers vibes almost. And obviously, I think their offense is more capable. But I feel like, at least in this last game, they relied way too heavily on the defense itself. I like the Browns. I think they're perfectly capable of being a very good team. Obviously, they have all the pieces to do it. But I think that they need to figure out what they're doing.
I want to give a quick shout out to one Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah because he has been playing some of the best football I've seen from a rookie linebacker in quite some time. Like he's everywhere. He flies all across the field. He had a half sack in that game against the Bears. He's great in pass coverage. He could do literally everything. He's just a ridiculous athlete. And one more thing, Jadeveon Clowney is the perfect counterpart to Myles Garrett. The absolute perfect 1-2 punch. I think they got that guy. They've been looking for that guy for a while now, opposite side of Myles Garrett. And I think they found that guy. This whole Browns roster, man, like they're going to be so tough to beat, especially when it's December, cold weather football. Like the way that they're going to be able to run it. Yeah, Nick Chubb hasn't gotten off to the greatest start, but the 1-2 punch between him and Kareem Hunt is just ridiculous. Baker Mayfield, as long as Baker Mayfield doesn't try to take over games and make mistakes, I think it's going to be very hard to beat this team. I think they probably, other than the Rams right now, I think they probably have the best roster. They might be up there with them as being one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, JOK, I feel like was the player that kind of sealed the deal for that defense, because last year that defense was really good, but you felt there was something missing. They would give up a lot of yards in some games, and they were kind of hit and miss. It was the linebackers. There was no significant linebackers. Like their best linebacker was I can't even think of his name, but anyway, it was like Sione Takitaki.
Yep.
Mac Wilson was one of their best ones, but I think he got hurt. And now you got JOK. You got that middle linebacker. You got that leader of the defense. You got that guy the coach on the field, and he can do everything. There is no reason this guy should have made it past the first round. No, there's no reason this guy should have made it past the first 20 picks. Exactly.
You and I were live during the draft, and we were talking about it the whole time. I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to talk shit about anybody before they've had a chance to really show what they can do. But Jamin Davis was taken significantly earlier to the Washington football team. JOK doesn't get taken until the second round, and you see what one is doing in comparison to the other.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So the Browns look amazing on the defensive side of the football. I ultimately think the offense is way too good to continue this kind of lull that they're in right now. I think they'll wake up very soon.
It feels to me like they're still doing what the Browns tend to do, and it's like play up to their competition and play down to their competition.
Yeah.
So they play the Bears, and the Bears aren't very good, and they just didn't do as much as they could have. I'm not just saying that the Browns are a bad team right now, but I'm saying that when they get to these more powerful teams, I think that they're definitely going to have some things to work on, just in my opinion. All right, boys, that's going to be it for week 3 talk. We're going to jump right into week 4. We've got Thursday Night Football. It is another trash can of a game. We talked about it a little bit before we started recording. We have got the Jaguars at the Bengals, and I'm going to ask you guys for a winner of this game, a score prediction, and who you think the player of the game is going to be. Jake, take it away.
I'm going to take the Jaguars. I'm kidding. I'm obviously going to go with the Bengals in this one. The Bengals have looked shockingly to a lot of people. The Bengals have looked like a good team. Like the Steelers are definitely the worst team in that division right now, and I don't even think it's relatively close. The Bengals, they're up there, they're in the conversation. I wouldn't say they're the top 2 in that division, but they're in the conversation. They're not far behind. Bengals have looked really good. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna take the Bengals in this game. For the score, I'm gonna go with, let's say 31-17. I'm going to go with the Bengals. And player of the game, I think that Joe Burrow is going to go wild in this matchup. He hasn't had like a completely explosive game yet. He hasn't had the game where he has like 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, kind of like what Matt Stafford did. I think this is the game where he just takes complete advantage of that weak Jaguars defense and just, pounds it into them. So yeah.
I think the Bengals low key have one of the more underrated defenses in the entire league. I mean, they have a bunch of playmakers on that team. They made Ben Roethlisberger look silly. By the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't say Ben Roethlisberger, it's time to hang him up because you cannot be playing like that. Man, they're lucky we're not talking about the Steelers in this episode because I'd be going off. I mean, we got to start scheduling some better Thursday night football games. Like, what the fuck is this? Excuse my language. Grandpa, I'm starting to curse less, so shout out to you. So I'm going with the Bengals in this one. Like you said, I think Joe Burrow is very underrated. You know who's even more underrated at this point? I mean, Jamar Chase has been having just a spectacular start to his NFL career. 4 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks. People said that he couldn't catch the ball. We even talked about it on the podcast. He's proven all of those doubters wrong, absolutely wrong. So I think he's going to pop off, especially now that the Jaguars don't even have CJ Henderson, who just got traded to the Panthers yesterday. Interesting trade though, and good for the Panthers because they seem to be going all in this season. They're going to be all in for the future as well. That secondary is going to be crazy. Him, Dante Jackson, and JC Horn. Yeah, so give me the Bengals in this one. I'm going to go 28-14. I think they're going to win by double digits. And player of the game, give me Jesse Bates. Give me Jesse Bates. Trevor Lawrence hasn't had the greatest start to his career like Jamar Chase is having. He seems to be a little bit, I'd say, mistake prone. So I think he's probably going to throw a couple picks, maybe 1 or 2, and I think one of them is going to go to Jesse Bates. I think Jesse Bates is going to blanket whoever they send at him. Laviska Shenault, it doesn't matter. So give me the Bengals in this one. Going 3-1. Who would have thought?
But I didn't tell you guys about this. Obviously, we've been keeping track of our records when picking the games and stuff like that. But by the way, I'll go ahead and give those. I am keeping track of you guys as well, listening at home. To you, crew, if you are in the Discord, we do pick them every week. You guys pick them there, and whichever the majority is, that's who you pick. As far as I'm concerned, that's how I'm keeping track of this. To you, crew, is at 31-17. I myself am tied with that at 31-17. Jake has jumped over Luke and is 29-19. And Luke, you are at 27-21 currently. So you're not too far off. Still some.
It's manageable.
Yeah. But what I didn't tell you guys about this is we talked a little bit last week after the show that we were going to potentially add some things in to get some extra points from this. So whoever is the closest with the score prediction will get an extra point. Whoever
extra
gets
points.
Extra
points.
And
no pun
whoever
intended.
And whoever gets the player of the game correct will also get an extra point.
Hold on.
Because they pick an official player of the game on Thursday Night Football, right?
Do they?
It's the person that comes out and interviews after the game. Usually they'll interview a player after the game, and that's usually like the player of the game that they do. Because player of the game can be subjective. Like, what if Joe Burrow throws 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and then Jesse Bates has two pick sixes, like, which is reasonable with the Jaguars.
True.
Like,
I think we're gonna have to decide. We can let the TU crew decide who
That's
the player
true.
game is if something comes down to it like that.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a clear winner.
Yeah, I like that. I think we'll have TU crew vote for it. All right, TU crew. At the end, it's not going to be some Mitch Trubisky MVP thing. We'll give you a few guys, whoever is, should be a potential player of the game, and have you guys vote for it. And we'll just decide it that way. But yeah, so I figured I'd make it a little more interesting. We're going to keep that separate of our record prediction itself, and then add all those points on later, because I want us to, have our correct amount of picks as the actual record. But with that being said, I'm going to pick the Bengals as well. Very hard to pick the Jaguars. I do think that they're going to steal one against a team that they potentially should lose to later on, but this isn't going to be the one for me. I'm going to go with a score prediction of 26-17, and my player of the game is Jamar Chase.
I'm glad we're all picking different ones. We all have to pick different ones.
Yeah,
we're going to have to
for this to work. Yeah. I like that. All Bengals. Who day?
Speaking of, who dat was before who day.
Yo, did they stole that, right?
They did steal that.
It was a game. It was a game with the Saints, right? That it got established or something.
Like that,
I remember.
They've just been frauds this whole time.
Yeah,
they still say like it's their thing.
It's okay. Pretty much everything about the Vikings organization is stolen from like an Icelandish football team and football, like soccer. So yeah,
sick.
It's pretty funny.
It's copycat league.
The Seahawks took 12th man from Texas A&M, because Texas A&M patented 12th man, like they trademarked it. So that's why you'll see the Seahawks. It used to be like the 12th man at CenturyLink. They had to change it to the 12s because the 12 Texas A&M
really
owns the 12th man. You can't say the 12th man. So they had to. That's why they call them the 12s. So yeah. Fun fact.
They used to call him the 12th man though, back in like
they used to,
2014
until Texas A&M they had a lawsuit.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep. The more you know.
Yeah.
Right here on the Totally Unqualified podcast. All right, you guys ready to wrap it up?
Yep.
Shoot.
I didn't put in order for things again. I guess I'll do the Apple and YouTube.
I could do overtime.
And then Luke, if you
do socials. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that is going to be it for episode 21 of the Totally Unqualified podcast. We appreciate you hanging out with us this time. If you're joining us and you've been with us multiple times before, we appreciate it, obviously. If you're a first-time listener, we very much appreciate you. A little kiss for you this time around.
Ooh,
we won't get it in the future, so enjoy it while you can. I don't give those out lightly, as you guys know. But if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, even if you're not, if you want to download the app for us, leave us a rate and review. It means the world to us. Obviously, Spotify is better, but I would appreciate you doing it anyway. And then YouTube, if you are watching on YouTube, if you could drop us a like on all the videos, that would be very much appreciated as well.
Yeah, finally caught up on YouTube, by the way. We finally have all the episodes up to this point posted on YouTube, so they are all there for you guys to binge. Make sure you guys, if you haven't already, we've mentioned it every single episode, download the Overtime app. This isn't just us promoting something that we don't actually use. It's actually a great app. I look at it all the time. I play the polls all the time. It's free. They're fun. Sometimes I just like to do it, just for a little enjoyment, see how I did at the end of the night. So download that, use the link in our bios. It does support the podcast if you do use that link. But even if you don't, download the app anyway. It's a great app.
And make sure to go check us out on social media, whether that's a totally unqualified account or our individual accounts. I am Football Fan Zone. Jake is Jake Maltese 3, and Gage is, of course, Extra Points. So make sure to go follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. And thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode.